If you were to ask fans of Star Trek what was one of the worst movies to ever be made, I'm willing to bet that they would tell you Star Trek Beyond, as well as Star Trek Into Darkness, is some of the worst that Star Trek has ever created. But why, of all Star Trek movies, is Star Trek Into Darkness recognized as probably one of the worst in Star Trek history? Well, we've got some things to talk about here, so join me as we discuss why Star Trek Into Darkness is a terrible movie. Okay, so perhaps terrible is not exactly the best word to describe this film. There are some decent action scenes in it, but the problem that this film has is its lack of respect for the history of Star Trek. And we're going to get into that. Now, you may be asking yourself, why? Why am I doing this video when so many others in the past all over YouTube have covered this, probably in better detail than I could? Well, because I did a video a couple of days ago talking about a prequel that they're looking to make. And it was like, enough already with the prequels. And when I mentioned Star Trek 2009 and it was an okay movie, it was what happened afterwards that I did not like. A couple of people on that video did not like the way I said it. They felt like I was attacking them, and they addressed the fact that those movies are how they got interested in Star Trek in the first place. And my answer to them was, if that is true, if this is how you came to know Star Trek, well, welcome. But you also need to understand, my attack is not about you personally. It's about the people who made this movie and beyond, and the fact that they decided not to go with original ideas, but to rip off lines and scenes from Star Trek films that are way better, with better actors and superior creators than what we have here today. J.J. Abrams ripped off The Wrath of Khan and The Search for Spock. But let me just prove my point to some of you out there, to many of us out there who've been with Star Trek since the very beginning. Ricardo Montalban will be Khan. He is Khan, and nobody can perform the character as incredibly magnificent as Ricardo did. He was brilliant in the role. And people, I'm telling you right now, what we got Into Darkness was a terrible Khan. It wasn't a good interpretation or representation of the character. But what really bothers me and a lot of other people are scenes like this.
Damn it, Doctor. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Spock, we're talking about your life!
The rule cannot be broken.
Were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one.
It is at this point in the movie, not even 5 minutes into the movie, that we start seeing the travesty, the disrespect that's about to be shown to the fans of Star Trek. The complete ripoff of lines and scenes from The Wrath of Khan.
My name is Khan.
Another thing that bothered so many fans of Star Trek and of Khan was the fact that before this movie was released, there were rumors that Khan would be in the movie. And it was promised to the fans that Khan was not going to be a factor in this story. And then suddenly, my name is Khan. As if him saying it like that is going to have the same impact as when Kirk first met Khan in Space Seed.
And now, Khan is my name. Khan, nothing else. Khan.
As I said before, this movie does a great job of ripping off The Wrath of Khan. Every scene that I'm about to show you, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion as well, this film shows no respect and thinks it can do better when it does harm to it. I'm sorry, but this is wrong what they're doing here.
The hell are you doing?
I'm opening the door, I'm going in.
That door is there to stop us from getting irradiated. We'd be dead before we made the climb.
You're not making the climb. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? No human can tolerate the radiation that's in there.
As you are so fond of observing, Doctor, I am not human.
You're not going in there.
Perhaps you're right. What is Mr. Scott's condition?
Well, I don't think that he...
I'm sorry, Doctor. I have no time to discuss this logically.
Spock's sacrifice in the Wrath of Khan to save his ship and his friend, Kirk, from the Genesis device was an amazing, memorable scene. In fact, people who went into the movie never knowing what Star Trek was about, when they saw Spock dying, they were crying. It had a major impact on a lot of people. And one of the reasons why people knew this was an important scene was that the stories were out there that Leonard Nimoy this was going to be his last time as Spock. And it was a memorable, tear-jerking moment. And at the end of the movie, it left you wondering whether or not he was going to come back. Unlike Into Darkness, where Kirk's death was a complete waste of time and a pointless scene because 30 seconds later, he's alive and well thanks to the miraculous blood that Khan has that can heal and bring back the dead. BuzzFeed would have a list of the most iconic scenes in movie history, and Spock's death is rated as number 23. And what Into Darkness does, it steals that memorable, iconic scene. It ruins it.
Engine room. Well done, Scotty.
Jim, I think you better get down here.
Bones?
Better. Hurry.
Stop.
Engineering to bridge, Mr. Spock.
Mr. Scott.
Sir, you'd better get down here. Better hurry.
This scene does not have the same impact, the same power that this scene has. This scene is so iconic, so memorable. It is locked into the hearts of so many fans. And what Into Darkness did was just take it, repackage it, and give us a cheaper version of it. This version of Kirk and Spock had many years of service together, many years of friendship to build on. That's what made this so tragic. Kirk's long friendship with Spock, and to suddenly have him taken from him, Kirk could not handle it. It really broke his heart. What makes this scene even worse is at the beginning of this movie, Kirk and Spock had a hard time connecting with each other. Kirk just still could not understand why Spock would show no affection, no friendship toward him. It wasn't logical. And yet at the end of the movie, suddenly, because Kirk is dying, we suddenly get a massive amount of rage. People weren't buying it. It just didn't work. And once again, another iconic scene from the Wrath of Khan just repackaged into this movie, and it just doesn't work because everyone knew that they were ripping off Shatner. Into Darkness had the potential to be something so good, even better than the last one, 2009 Star Trek. But from the moment they decided to take material from the Wrath of Khan and incorporate it into Darkness, it just became something so contemptible to so many people. Into Darkness is not a good story because it rips off from a better product. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan will always be recognized as the best in the Star Trek films. Unfortunately, Star Trek Into Darkness will be recognized as one of the worst because of its canon, its constant and just downright disrespectful violations of a legacy film. I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments. Drop them below, let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.